Hello, everybody. Welcome to another D-Link webinar. Today, we are unfortunately with our usual host, Alan. He's away on some sunnier and warmer climates. But today, we'll be talking about basically introducing our new range of industrial switches. These come as an evolution of some of the industrial switches that we've been shipping for, I think, the past 4 or 5 years already. We do have quite extensive range of our managed, smart managed and managed industrial switches already out in the market. But what we're looking to do going forward is to simplify and streamline our range so that it's easier for our customers to know how they are different, and also to choose more easily on what what suits them best. So let me quickly go on to the next slide. Excuse me for a minute. It's the first time I'm using this, but hopefully I can click on the right button. Okay, there we go. better late than never. So today on our panel of on our panel in the webinar, I'm joined again by Mark.
Hello all.
And also Pawan, who we did have on one of our webinars a couple of months ago. But both of them are channel account managers, so they do know a lot more into the business side of things. I'm Phil, and I will be here again just to give you the more details on the technical side of our product range.
So what is an industrial switch? Essentially, it's a networking product that's designed for harsh environments and harsh conditions, and they're built to last longer than some of the commercial products that we have out there. They've got hardened components in, and they're designed to withstand thermal issues or tolerances, and they're designed to operate without moving parts. So these things have no fans and everything else on there.
So in terms of the thermal tolerance, as Mark mentioned, they tend to work between minus 40 degrees and 75 degrees, and because of the non-mechanical parts of the fan, they tend to have a lot higher MTBF. They're designed to last a lot longer than your normal bulk standard consumer or business switches. Aside from that, they do come with usual things like ingress protection to protect them against dust. But the other type of protections we'll go into in a bit more details in the subsequent slides. Yeah, let's move on. It's a hugely growing market because as we know, everywhere we see around us, everything is getting more connected. This is talking about everything from vending machines that you see, factories that need connectivity inside them to automate manufacturing, as well as things like smart cities whereby you do have surveillance, as well as more and more industrial IoT devices out, such as sensors and also various types of detection to ensure things like whether it's for security or even moving forward autonomous driving cars that they do know in terms of position or in terms of the status of traffic and so on. You can see on the left hand side, the growth is huge year by year since even since 2024. The expected growth is around 8.1% year by year. And this is a market that I think will only grow more because of, again, the ever-growing connected world that we live in now. Mark, anything to add to this?
Nothing really to add on there. I mean, these products, as we've mentioned, are designed to work with existing products, so things like CCTV cameras, Wi-Fi access, all that sort of stuff. And as the world and as the demand for connectivity increases, as Phil mentioned, especially in things like EV charging, as well as surveillance in town centres, having this type of product may complement some of the commercial switches we have. So these could be used to extend, because of the cold weather tolerances or the heat tolerances, because of their shock resistance, it could be used quite easily for town centre installs. They have a wide application. And as Phil's mentioned, that the growth on this type of project, or the requirement and the need of this product, is only going to grow, and we can help you with that.
Yeah, even for existing equipment that's already installed in these type of applications, because of the growth or the increase in demand of bandwidth, we do expect previously installed fast Ethernet or gigabit switches to be to also have a requirement to be upgraded to 10 gig and beyond. And this is where again, Dealing has various solutions that can cater for that requirement. Just quickly run through some of these things. So I'll let Tom to explain.
Yeah, so as Phil and Mark mentioned about temperature, so these switches are designed to cold start at minus 40 degrees, so they will work in extreme cold conditions. Also, this is a great feature if the switches are being installed at high levels, i.e. tall buildings, poles, where it is much colder at these levels. And then, yeah, sticking to the subject of extreme conditions, they will also work in hot 75 degrees environments without a fan.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Majority of the ports on the switches are also protected against surge. They tend to be the copper ports are protected against 6 kilowatts of surge. When these fluctuations could be from lightning strikes or just from the general general network as such from other equipments. But what they will do is to help you protect the switch and also your extended network from being knocked out if such a occurrence occurs on one of the connections to the switch. I think this is particularly important maybe if you do have a more extended setup whereby you have multiple switches connected together, whether it's for aggregation or ring deployments for redundancy. It does allow you to build a more robust and redundant network that doesn't have a single point of failure. We'll quickly move on to the next general point.
So some of the new PoE variants of the industrial switches have PoE plus, but they also can extend PoE budgets up to 250 meters, make them ideal for things like CCTV cameras and wireless access points, getting things devices that are connected far away connected to a network. Particularly very good, as we say, for things like CCTV cameras, but some of the switches have a 240 watt PoE budget on them, meaning that a lot of devices can be connected at once to some of these smaller switches.
Yeah, just to add to that, we have different ranges. I mean, here on screen is showing the IS100 series. So both the new 210 series also support PoE, and within that, that there is 3 models, one of which does support up to 60 watts per power, so the AO2.3 BT. Both the 100 and 200 series have 6.4 and tempo PoE variant to the series. So again, it's just an additional flexibility and option for you to deploy. And these things, if you do have this installed, let's say on a cabinet on the roadside, it just requires a single cable to allow you to connect and power things like surveillance cameras, as well as if you are deploying city-wide Wi-Fi access. It's something that's very, very convenient for installation purposes. 250 meters is very, very, it's long enough for you to deploy over quite large distances, either in the city or even things like large car parks and fields and so on.
They also have dual power supplies for redundancy. We've put a couple of terminals on the back of this one as an example there, but they can also be supported by a DC power block that's supplied. What this essentially means is you can run a couple of different types of power on there for redundancy to give yourself a backup. So if one power supply fails, or if another one it gets disconnected, the other unit will take over. Again, this is very, very good for redundancy, network continuity for things like CCTV cameras, things like hospitality, guest Wi-Fi, whatever is plugged into these switches will continue to operate with the redundant power supplies.
Just to quickly add to this, I think if you're familiar with the industrial switches and also the DC power supplies, they tend to come in two type of different variances: 24 volt DC and 48 volt DC. So you can see on screen there that usually the non-PoE versions take the 24 volt, but they can also be powered for the 48 volt. So depending on how you're setting this up in your cabinet, you could have the same power supply supplying power to both the PoE and the non-PoE version. And because of the the multiple outputs on the power supplies themselves, as well as the dual DC input, you can easily set up kind of some one power supply powering two switches, and then having another power supply as a backup for those two switches. So no matter what happens with the power supplies, you will always have a up and running switch. The DC, the AC power adapter that we do include with the product, it's obviously there for convenience, so that you could still connect and power the device using the mains. Moving on, Ethernet ring protection. So on our DIS210 series, or actually even in the previous range of managed industrial switches, they do support ERPS. This allows you to create, if you're familiar with this type of ring structure, so redundancy rings, whereby if there is a breakage in the link between two particular switches, the traffic will be routed around the other path. The recovery rate is very, very high, very, very fast. So the interruption is negligible. And what ERPS2 does is allow you to create these multiple redundant rings, whereby you can create quite sophisticated setups whereby the rings themselves are backed up through multiple paths, so that even if in the unlikely scenario where you have two or more links broken, it still does minimize the downtime of your whole network as such. Okay. Just to quickly introduce the series that we briefly mentioned, I'll let Paul and Huff talk about this unmanaged DIS100 series.
Yeah, so we've got the unmanaged versions here. So you've got 6, 10, and 5 ports. So as it says on the slide, plug and play with no installation required. Yeah, very simple setup. Again, would work from close starts -40 degrees to up to 75 degrees. Yeah, temperatures in harsh environments. So it's a very out of the box plug and play solution.
So just to quickly mention the DIS100E05, that's the fast Ethernet. I guess the most entry level and the most affordable industrial switch that we have in our range. The Gigabit 6 and 10 port switches, they do come with PoE options, as I mentioned earlier. One thing that's to highlight, I think, our switches compared to some of our competitors, is that they all do support AO2.3AZ energy efficient Ethernet, which it's something of a norm in our standard business switches, but we've carried that across to our industrial switches. And the gigabit switches, you will notice that they do come with them gigabit fiber uplinks for that longer distance connectivity.
These are some of the PoE models that we have in the DIS 100 series. So these are the unmanaged PoE models that we have. Again, it's a simple, the DIS 100G06B is a 6-port variant, so it's got 2 SFP ports and 4 Ethernet ports on there. And then the DIS 100G/10P is an 8-port switch with 2 SFPs on there. And this is designed to give yourself, designed to allow the connectivity of things like CCTV cameras and other devices that may require power over Ethernet.
This is where I jumped the gun again, but I think as per previous webinars, this is something that maybe I get too excited. And
I think you get excited.
Yeah, go on.
Introducing the DIS 210G series. So these are a more managed series of switches. These have got certain features like VLAN capability on there. You can do things like link aggregation on there. Again, these are the non-PoE variants on the slide. These are designed the DIS 210G06 as a 6-port variant or a smaller unit, and I believe, Phil, you've got the wrong pictures of the products on there.
Oh my God.
Well.
I blame Microsoft. I'm pretty sure I changed it. So yeah. Anyway, Mark correctly pointed out. I'll correct this from after the thing that the 21012 should be. You see the equivalent PoE switch in the next slide. So maybe it's a lapse on my side, but it's a 12. It's basically the 12 port equivalent. Yeah, I got both of the pictures wrong.
That's all right. We'll fix it and we'll republish it.
Yeah. So it would be basically a 4+2 and a 10+2. So a plus 4 for the other one. So just quickly, the layer 3, as Mark briefly mentioned, there's some layer 3 routing capabilities. So these do support IP interfaces and static routing to allow you to again, flexibility on how you set up your network. Spanning tree protocol provides redundancy through layer 2. And some correct pictures.
Yay! So these are the DIS 210G, the PoE variants in them. Again, they're managed variants. These and different PoE options and models that we have. Some of them support PoE, a couple of them support PoE++, so that's 60 watts per port. Supporting larger cameras, things like PTZ devices and big domes and things like that. One of the cameras in the range one of the switches in the range is the DIS 210G12UP, and that's the UPoE model of that. These switches all support things like VLANs and all the features mentioned on the previous slide, but they're designed so you can have a little bit more flexibility and a little bit more control around how you can manage the products within your network. So if you need things like link aggregation, if you need things like VLANing, prioritizing different traffic and things like that on your network, you can do that.
So the management that you see underneath the slide, at the bottom of the slide, and also the enhanced security, they do also apply to the non-PoE versions, obviously. So they do have a web-based GUI as well as a command line interface for you to configure the products. A set of comprehensive set of OEM features to monitor and app in the products, dying gas, so that the device can send out a message to the management software to inform if there's anything really wrong, as well as things like IP map port binding, where you can lock down each individual port to specific MAC address and IP addresses to prevent unintentional connections to the device to access the network. And then moving on to the more managed product in the series, there is it's the existing. Just to quickly say, the existing DIS 700G28XS. That was a product we've been offering for a number of years. This is a full fiber switch, but we are introducing this new DIS 310G24.
Yeah, so this product is going to be a larger layer 3 managed switch. This is going to have 16 gigabit Ethernet connections on there, various SFP ports, including 10 gigabit on there. This is really for a larger install that requires a lot of throughput for a network. If you guys are looking to add things like VLAN capability, but then also some of the layer 3 functionality, things like OSPF and all that sort of stuff to your network, this is the type of product that you're looking for.
It's perfect for basically if you're aggregating your network to slightly go further, or if you do have a slightly larger deployment, because the 10 gig SFP ports will allow you to propagate 10 gigabit connectivity throughout the backbone of your network, whilst the SFP ports will allow you to extend your network through fiber optics to go even further. And then the gigabit ports then provides you wherever you deploy this with them access ports to whatever equipment that you're connecting this to.
Yeah, so just looking at a couple of examples where these switches could be used. So this is a very basic example. So you can see a shop physical store. So just under that sits the business gateway, which is essentially a router. That will then be connected to a smart switch, for example. Depending where the smart switch is located, you might use a SFP module to extend the distance. That smart switch is then connected to the PoE version of the switch, DIS 100G, which would then be connected to, for example, access points, lighting, which would provide power over Ethernet. And just below that, you've got the non-PoE versions. Again, in this scenario, would be used to power network printers, laptops, IP phones, and weighing terminals, for example.
So, I mean, in this particular scenario, the industrial switches would most likely to be deployed in locations such as factories. It's not just factories, warehouses. Sorry,
warehouses. But then, if it's a shop or a retail store, it could be in the storeroom. It could be in a place that's not heated, that hasn't got the best damp proofing or the best weather proofing to it. And they're being used to flexibly because of the redundant power supplies on them. So they're being used as to extend the network, as Powerwan's mentioned, to sort of look after the lighting and the printers and things like that. It doesn't necessarily show in this diagram how they're powered, so they could be being powered via the terminal blocks on there, because there is not a physical or a traditional plug socket there. And these things could be in the storeroom for the physical shop.
Here's another example. This one is I mentioned earlier, in terms of the smart city type of deployments, whereby you might have citywide surveillance, whereby these industrial switches are deployed on roadside cabinets, connecting to things again like surveillance cameras, traffic lights, or even citywide Wi-Fi access. In this particular scenario, you can see that either the fully managed DIS 310G24X or the fully fiber DIS 700G28X is being used to create a fiber optic ring connecting to multiple numbers of DIS 210G switches, both PoE and non-PoE versions of this. Again, depending on if the equipment that you are connecting these to these devices, you can decide to whether you need that PoE support or not. Just the ERP S-ring will obviously provide redundancy, so that if one of the cables get accidentally severed during roadworks or so on, the whole network stays working. The same goes with the other side from the main switch connecting back to firewalls, or even core switches via the link aggregation. The link aggregation that not only provides a faster bandwidth through multiple cables, but it also does provide redundancy, so that if one of those ports or one of those cables go down, your traffic will continue to flow. And then the next one. Similarly to surveillance earlier, again, we're just talking about an even wider network that is set up in such a way to create additional redundancy across multiple switches that we mentioned earlier when it comes to multiple redundant rings. So here you have a setup whereby you have two fully managed switches that are connected by multiple links to the rings themselves. So within them you can see the crisscross of the connections in the way that it's set up, that any of the rings, that any of the connections that go down, you will still have the redundant two redundant links that's connected to the switches themselves. So again, if you are looking at more mission critical deployments whereby you're having to ensure that the networks are up to prevent more mission critical applications, and then this type of setup will be a lot more relevant to you to ensure that uptime.
Just a reminder that to complement some of the industrial switches and the networking products that we have a series of 4G and 5G IoT M2M devices. These can help with backup connectivity or a primary connectivity to the internet, where a traditional internet connection may be rubbish or may not be reliable. We have this type of product in our portfolio to help you get connected, and these products can help with connectivity of sites, locations, even things like machines or devices like CCTV cameras or the odd access point. I mean, if you are worried about backup connectivity or remaining connected to the internet, our little 4G, 5G IoT devices can help, and we'll be more than happy to speak to yourself around the differences about the different varieties and the variants that we have in the portfolio, as well as covering and talking about the industrial switches.
So that's just to quickly add on to what Mark just said. Yeah, a lot of the industrial switches are deployed in rural areas, and this is where some of our M2M solutions are, the perfect match or perfectly complements the industrial switches, because they do provide an instant internet connection to whatever network that you're trying to set up in those areas. And we do have a very one of our previous webinars, we did introduce our quite substantial range of these M2M products, whereby some of them they do have the gigabit 2.5 gig connectivity as well as PoE support. It's to help you grow, build a bigger network on top of them, whether from the industrial switch point of view or from the M2M modem users point of view. They can work with each other to help you to fulfill what your requirements for connectivity, no matter where you're trying to deploy it. I believe that's the last slide. Thank you again for attending our webinar.
Yeah, thank you for spending 25 minutes listening to us talk about the new products. If there are any questions that pop up, please reach out to myself and Pawan. You can reach us on LinkedIn. We're searchable. We're more than happy to be contacted. Or you can reach us on the email address below, so UKI-sales@dlink.com, or head to the website and there's a live chat on there where you can speak to myself or Pawan. We're more than happy to answer any questions that you guys have, get involved in the projects that you guys are working on, answer any questions around the technology or the products that pop up, and we're happy to help you guys build that topology, build that network, and ultimately get the right solution for your customer.
Just to add on that as well, we do offer free site surveys as well, so just to bear in mind.
Okay, thank you again, and we'll catch up again probably with you in the new year, where we'll be introducing more of our new products.